What's going on, everyone? Marty here at Paris Extreme, and for the fourth and last skill I would like to cover with you this week for the last episode of the Backpacking for Beginners series, where I teach you everything you need to know and everything you need to do so you are successful on your first backpacking trip. And this is a crucial skill. It is how to select a proper campsite, a proper location to pitch your tent so that you stay dry and that you stay safe. Alright guys, so we are now at the campsite where I decided to camp here on the island at the Algonquin Park. Listen, I'm going to show you guys where we decided to pitch our tent here, and let me tell you, we are in an ideal campsite. So from site to site, you're going to have different technical difficulties that are going to make it a little harder for you to find a proper campsite, but these are kind of all the little things that I look at before I pitch my tent. So most people will start from the ground. I like to go from the sky down, and the reason why I do this is every year this happens, and it's sad and it's the reality, but it is a possibility that trees do fall, right? Whether there's a windstorm or there's a storm outside, trees do fall from time to time. So the first thing I always do when I try to find a location is I look up and I try to look at the trees around, and what I'm looking for is basically to see if the trees are healthy, if there's any dead branches around that would fall on us at any given time, anything already broken off, is there something already leaning in a way. Those are called widow makers, basically, because if you're sleeping in there and it falls on you, it's it's a very serious injury. Now, I'm not saying this to scare anyone off. It does happen from time to time, but it's rare. But if you do take the precautions, you should be able to kind of keep yourself away from that. So number one, I look for any dead trees, any branches that may fall on me. Number two is I'm gonna work my way down, and I'm gonna start looking for a proper flat ground. So here's where Martin and I decided to pitch our tent this weekend. And the first thing you can see is that it's a bed of pine needles here. So there's no roots, no rocks sticking out, and that's gonna make it uncomfortable for us to camp. And what I usually do, and you can't see it right now because the tent's already pitched, but if you look at my feet here, what I'll even do before pitching my tent is I'll clear it out like this, just to remove any kind of pokies, any kind of rocks that could also damage the bottom of my tent. So that'll be the next thing. The second thing you need to look at is kind of the topography of the land. And what I mean by that is, if it does rain, you want to be in a place where the runoff of the rain is not going to go and pool underneath your tent. It's just going to run off to the water. In this particular case, it might come a little bit underneath us, but it's going to run around and go away, because regardless of what tent you have, if you end up with a pool of water, over time, after 8 hours, it's going to soak through. So you do want to make sure you look for that so that you don't wake up all wet, basically. All right, so these are all the reasons why I decided to pitch my tent here. You'll see that every site that you go to will have its pros and cons as to why you would like to pitch your tent here and there. Here, it's a very ideal, it's one of the best campsites I've ever seen in the Algonquin Park, so it was very easy for me to decide. You'll see that sometimes you might have to compromise a little bit, but always make sure to stay safe and stay away from dead trees or possible trees that can fall, aka widow makers.